talk about is some of the math behind the checks that I do. All right. Um, there are in the game 48 total checks. All right. Um, of those checks, 27 are going to be espers because you can't start with any espers yet. Um, 10 to 13 will be characters depending on how many characters you start with. If you start with just one character, right, then obviously 13 of them will be espers, and 8 to 11 will be dead checks. By dead checks, we mean, of course, characters, right? Um, so the standard race flags are 710, right? You need 7 characters, you need 10 espers, and you start with 2 characters, which means you need 5 characters, you need 10 espers. You're trying to find them at about a 1 to 2 ratio. And that makes a little bit of sense because, as you can see, like with the number of checks that come to espers and the number of checks that come to characters, you're gonna get about a character every 2 espers, right? Like it makes a lot of sense, right? When it comes to the 610 with the 3 characters, you need 3 characters and 10 espers. Like that ratio changes significantly, and then suddenly this math doesn't work nearly as well, right? You're likely to wind up with more characters than you need. So if you run a 610, you're starting with 3 characters, right? If you take these seeds exactly the same way, right? These seeds, the way that people normally play them, they're going to wind up with about 7 characters, 10 espers. You know, sometimes they wind up with an extra esper, right? So they wind up like 711 and everything like that. Um, if you took these seeds and you played them the same way, you would wind up with about 8 characters, right? Because you'd wind up with the same number of characters. You'd find 5 additional characters the way you would here, right? So you start with 3, you'd wind up with 8 characters, right? It's inefficient. So the way that I choose to do checks here is I focus a lot on, like, you find your characters early and then you sort of lean on Esper and item checks. These are your Esper and item checks. You got Magitech 1, you got Magitech 2. These are Celis checks. These are good checks to do, except you don't want to do them. Like, if you're doing Magitech 1 and 2, you hope that this is your last Esper because you're going to want to warp out of there, and you don't want to wind up having to go back, right? Floating Continent 2 is just an Esper, but obviously don't think of this as an Esper check because it's sandwiched between 2 checks that are long, and you know, if you just need one Esper, you don't say I'm going to go to Floating Continent 2, right? Cyan's Dream is sort of the same. You've got the 3 checks, 2 of which are never characters, but it means that this is a good check to do in these flags, right? You've got the Narsh Weapon Shop, obviously. You've got Doomgaze. These are 2 like checks. They're not attached to anything. They're single checks and they're Esper checks. And then you have these 4, and these 4 are special because they are universal. You can always do them. See, they're here. Hang on, they're here and here and here. Oh, not this one. And this, right? Now, Doomgaze you can technically do anytime, but you're not going to fly around looking for them, so I'm not counting that, you know. But these checks, um, these checks are special, right? And these 3 are even more special because you can do them without a fight. You can, so these are free. These are universal and they're free. You know, any seed, no matter what, you're going to be able to do these 3 checks. So I have decided before I even begin the seed that I'm likely to do these 3 checks. Right? Before I even start, before I hit start, I don't know anything about the characters I have. I don't know anything about the espers or anything like that. I just know I'm probably going to do these. So when I think about that, that means that I'm going to spend a little bit more time. Like if you know you're going to do these, why would you do these last? Right? I'm going to spend a little bit more time in the early game grabbing a few more chests, and I'm going to use that money that I get from those chests to buy you need about 80k to do the auction house properly, and Zen Merchant can be anywhere between like just 200 gold to 65,000. So ultimately, if you have 140,000, you're going to be able to buy 3 espers, right? So 140,000 sounds like a tall order, but it's really not. If you know how to sort of sell the stuff you're not going to use in the end, then it's fine. I mean, a sword like a weapon like a striker or doom darts or trump or any of these other things, wing edge, oftentimes, things that you're gonna use and then get rid of. If you get rid of them early and you get the espers, that can sort of help. So that's what I like to do. And then also, when it comes to scenarios where like I like these peek checks as well. These are checks where you can see sort of what it is that's there before you fight the boss. Imperial Base and Azur's House of asterisk because excuse me, because you still have to fight mobs before you can see what it is. But things like Esper Mountain, it's a great check. If you need a character, you can go in there, see if it's a character. If it's not, you can bail. So these checks are good for when there's an imbalance. Let's say you have 3 characters and 8 espers. You really don't want to take the check unless it's a character. Right? So these checks are great because you can see, oh, it's not a character, I'm just going to reset out. Right? Or, as aside from that, you've got 5 characters and 4 espers. Now, you're not going to be able, like, especially if it's me, because I've already done these, if I've got 5 characters, 4 espers, right? I'm not going to be able to find all my espers in these esper/item checks. I have to risk finding a character. And these ones are the best ones to do then because I can at least make sure, like I can avoid as many characters as possible. Because character checks are going to be useless in that realm there. So that's what I sort of like to look at. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and start the video here. This is a seed that I did. Actually, I should include this. This is not the seed that we had. What is the seed called? It is DS2. So this is spoilers for this race. If you are thinking of joining this race and everything, don't watch this yet. Right, I'm gonna upload this to YouTube and do all that. But this is this race. All right, and like I said, I always have a reason for what you do. So I'm gonna get the tracker going, which is not a thing that I normally do, but we're gonna use it this time. And let's just start this seed, see how this winds up going. While we're waiting for the video to get started, I do want to talk about, like I say, always have a reason for what you do. The whole point of these streams, oh, actually, never mind, I'll talk about it later. We're going to start out here. We've got 3 characters, Relmog, Setzer. I move Setzer to the front because I like Setzer's sprite better. Okay, so we have Relmog, Setzer. Let's do this. One of the things we noticed is Mog has sword tech. That's a build right there. Right? When I talk about builds, that's something that we really take a look at in the mid game. But one of the builds that you can have is sword tech. Sword tech has 2 ways to go. Sword tech strength is 1 and 7, which are strength-based. Strength-based, but the barrier piercing. All right, so fairly useful there. And then there's Sword Tech Mag, right, using magic, and that's sort of with 2, but 2 can be sort of hard to set up, right? But 6 is where it really really starts to shine. 6 is Stunner. It's a magic power 90, right, or spell power 90, which is not anything that's going to surprise anybody, right? It's not barrier piercing, but it is non-elemental. It inflicts stop, and it doesn't. It ignores split damage, which means anytime that you're using it on like 2 enemies or more, it functions as if it was 180 spell power, and that's pretty strong. What that means is if you're using a spell that like doesn't ignore split damage, it's gonna do it's gonna hit the capped damage. It's gonna hit 10k less often than Stunner will. So Stunner is actually pretty useful for that reason, right? Because it's Mog, right? Mog already has high magic power. His vigor isn't terrible, but we're probably going to try to build him with magic. All right. Setzer and Realm has GP Rain. It can be useful like in specific scenarios. There's a few like because it's barrier piercing and all that, but mostly it's just weak and it costs gold to use. It's not super awesome. Setzer has Runic. It's generally a defensive thing. It's better than nothing, but when you're doing these seeds, very rarely do you want to be focused on defense. Most of the time, the fastest defense is a good offense. The fastest defense is to kill your enemy quickly. So you're sort of hoping that that's not going to be the case, right? But in terms of builds, we've got 1. All right. Then let's look at the checks that we have available. All right. I'll just sort of do this. So the checks that we have available, obviously, we've got the Lone Wolf immediately. I'm just highlighting these, even though I haven't done them. These are the checks, right? We're going to be looking for a character early, right? So obviously, it's not going to be Doomgaze. It's we've got the Collingen check, which we're going to try to do fairly soon. And because we've got Lone Wolf, we have to consider Kefka and Narsh. Right? When you start with Mog, you don't super want to immediately go for Kefka and Narsh. All right? Or you don't immediately want to go for Lone Wolf because you don't want to go for Kefka and Narsh. You don't want to run up the mountain and then down the mountain and up the mountain. Down. If I go up the mountain to Mog's check and I don't get a character, but I do see that Kefka and Narsh is someone like Terra, right? Or Shadow, I'm not going to want to go back down the mountain and potentially have to climb back up, right? So we're going to try to put off this Lone Wolf check as quickly or as long as we can, right? We're in the early game, so we don't want to do checks that involve bosses. So really, we're not going to be looking at Realm. We're going to go to Collingen, obviously, fairly early, doing these free checks. So we're going to do the free checks here. But we're going to wind up trying to do Auction House here and Zen Merchant before we go to Mog. So that's our initial plan, which means we're going to be picking up a lot of money. Generally, the first thing that you'd want to do is go to Collingen, right? Because it's free. But we're not going to go there immediately. And the reason we're not going to go there immediately is because they have shops. And here in the early game, we're going to be checking a lot of shops and everything. Collingen doesn't have any chests there. Well, it has 2 chests, but like we're not going to expect that those 2 chests are going to have enough gold that we can buy stuff there. So what if we find something in Colligan we want to buy, we can't? So I found most of the time my first check is returners. So we're probably going to go to Returner's Hideout and then Colligan. And then go from there. If Colligan has a character, we're going to use that character. We're going to see what else we get to do. All right. But I'm expecting that the first check we're going to go for here is going to turn out to be... Oh, big surprise, it's Returner's Hideout. Right? Because we're trying to find enough money to purchase whatever it is that we need for... like, if we find Valiant Knife or something else that we really want to use in Colligan, we want to be able to ideally just sell everything that we have and purchase it right away. Because it really sucks to do double dips. It especially can be a drag to find expensive stuff that you want to buy in World of Balance. I will often sell a great deal just to avoid having to double dip a World of Balance. Or avoid having come back late in the game, because most of the time towards the end you're going to be doing your checks in World of Ruin. And if you're doing your checks in World of Ruin and have to switch back, it can be annoying. What did I see here that I cared about? Oh, Warp Stones, yeah. You're going to buy Warp Stones right away. Warp Stones can be useful in Narshe to warp out of those 3 extra chests and everything. I'm trying to check a lot of chests. So in fact, we can count. I'll count them some other time. But you see, like, for example, I'm routing in this chest here. Oh, I should talk. I wanted to go to Colligan, but I didn't go to Colligan immediately. Why didn't I go to Colligan? Well, because the things that I found in there, I found like a ribbon, which I probably want to keep. How's it going, Keel? I found a Pearl Rod, which I want to keep. I found a Fire Rod, which I want to keep. Right? I found a fair amount of stuff that I don't want to sell. Right? I also found things like Regal Cutlass. Which isn't going to sell for very much. So I don't think that I could make enough money to buy anything in Colligan. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to South Figaro, grab what's there, and then head to Colligan. I don't like doing that because what if I find something expensive in South Figaro? I'd prefer to have a little bit more money, but it happens. Like, South Figaro is going to be one of the more common double dips, right? If you find something really nice in South Figaro, you're often not going to have enough money to buy it. You haven't even done the basement when you check most of the shops, so it makes sense. It's just a part of the thing that you deal with. But yeah, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to find, a dried meat. That's not super important, but like I'm probably going to find it in the item shops anyway, but it's nice to see. I am dropping, oh my god, 33% of my frames. But I'm recording this locally and I'm going to upload it to YouTube, so we'll see how this goes. Found an offering there. Offering is interesting because it could be a build depending on what you find with it. But offering isn't a build on its own. You need to find like a useful Valiant Knife or an Atmo weapon, or like in a pinch you can use fixed dice with the offering. I don't like it, but it's there. Yeah, I mean, oftentimes, as much as it pains you, you find an offering, a lot of the time you're going to sell it. Because it often enables other builds. Like, oftentimes, like, just the gold is what you're looking for. So far, just finding gold, finding, like, elixirs is always nice. I see the dried meat in the shop, but I don't care because I already grabbed it. I don't worry so much about what any individual check has. I just try to take more chests than a lot of other people do. Right? Like this chest right here. I don't remember what it's going to be or whether it's useful. But, oh, it's 8,000 gold. That's pretty useful. But, I mean, even if it wasn't, you know, taking this chest and then taking a few extras in South Figaro and taking a few extras in, like taking that one in Duncan's house and all that, you know, these add up. Oh, okay, and here's the thing. We find Ragnarok's. From this screen right here, you know, we're almost 4 minutes in, we can see Ragnarok's. First of all, we know there's no way we're going to be able to purchase them right now. Right? Second, how much do we care? Like, Ragnarok is a decent build, like, decent, with, like, a high-strength character and like a gauntlet or something. You can see Realm is the only one with the ability to equip it. We're probably gonna be doing more damage on average with Realm if we give her like just magic to cast. Like, we would give her Ragnarok as a stat stick and just have her stay in the back row and cast magic most of the time, right? It's a great build. It's like an S tier if we have a Genji glove and a high strength character, someone who can wield them, right? So as of now, are we going to spend that gold for sort of like a mid tier build? Probably not, even if we could, right? But this tells us that we should be checking relic shops. If we find Genji gloves, like the next 3 characters we find could be Edgar, Locke, and Terra. Or Edgar, Locke, Sabin with the ability to equip Ragnaroks. You never know, right? And if we find a bunch of characters who have high strength and can use those, right, we could buy as many Ragnaroks as we needed. If we find that at Genji gloves, we could find like a 400, 500k build cost, but you would be just rushing through everything because you'd be doing more than 10k damage per attack. Any build that can do more than 10k damage per turn without having to like really slow down is S tier, right? So Sword Tech 7 isn't really S tier because it's so slow, but it can sort of get there. Like if you're like really high level. Usually, though, I consider it to be like sort of the exception and it's the A tier. But most of the time, like something like Genji Glove, Ragnaroks, or like Valiant Knife Offering, those kinds of builds are the S tier builds, right? So we're going to be looking at that, but we just basically have to remember South Figaro has that, and there's a good chance that we would, like, I'm already thinking, there's a good chance I'm going to sell the Offering to work with the Ragnarok. Because Offering and Ragnarok don't work together. Offering means that Ragnarok doesn't auto-crit, which is just useless, you know. The Ragnarok on its own is a lot better than, like, a random weapon with Offering. So, good chance we'd do that. Found a red cap, found another ribbon. We generally want to keep one ribbon just in case we wind up doing some sort of cursed shield strat. But we do not care about second ribbon. So that's probably just going to be the 13k or so gold. So we've already found a decent amount of gold, which is great because, again, for Zen Merchant and Auction House, we want about 140k. Like, that's gonna definitely do it. Oftentimes, Zen Merchant will be cheaper and you don't need it. Sometimes it'll be like 13k or something like that. But this is the goal. If I have 140k, I know I can probably buy about 3 Espers, or at least see those 3 checks. I mean, those 3 could be dead checks. Like I said, in these flags, there's going to be 10 dead checks. And there's no reason that Auction House and Zen Merchant can't be one of them. But I've found that they're often not, so, yeah. Now we're going to head to Collingen. That's the plan that we already had for this free check. And we find Strago, who knows Shock. So we got Strago. Strago has decent magic. He's also got natural magic, and he's got Shock. So in terms of builds, right, we've got Sword Tech, we've got Shock, and we don't know if Setzer and Realm will be useful. Right. If we find like Genji Glove and Strength 2 Esper, then Realm can wind up wielding Ragnaroks. But you generally looking for 2 solo builds. These 2 builds, they take a while to get going without magic steroids. You know, generally they're just decent. We're gonna see what we have. Strago offers no interesting checks for right now. So really, at this point, we're going to be looking to do these checks, the Zen Merchant, the Auction House, because we don't want to do the Lone Wolf check until we're ready for Kefket Narsh. Right? So what I'm expecting next is going to be continuing to grab gold. So we've got it in Returnus Hideout. We've done South Figaro. There's Albrook. There's chests in Narsh Shed we're gonna put off as long as possible, but we're talking about the school and the caves, right? And Thamasa. So that's what we're gonna look at for gold. Because we saw those Ragnaroks, we know that we're gonna be looking for gold even more than usual, because we might want even more. So we're definitely going to be sort of focusing on finding more gold. So here I make a mistake, because I know that I want to find more gold, but I don't route in. There's 2 chests in Collingen, and I missed one. And I still don't know what's in there. The Ice Shield for 42k, I barely pay attention to that. But those enhancers I want. So why am I looking for these enhancers? You can see right here, Strago and Mog can equip them. Strago and Mog are 2 builds that we have, right, that are both potentially going to use magic power. Like, Shock definitely will. Sword Tech, I'm leaning more and more towards it, especially as I find these magic steroids. So I'm looking for Magus Hat, and I'm looking for enhancers. And here we have enhancers. I sold enough to buy 2 of them, and I've got 2 characters who are definitely going to use them. So do I equip them right away? Of course not. This is the early game. And what am I interested in here that's actually funny? I forgot that I did this. There's a Dow Robe. Dow Robe is decent end game armor. It's not S tier. It's not like even A tier. It's not like a behemoth suit. But it's a magic steroid armor, and it's got decent enough defense to get you through like Kefka's Tower and the final battle. So I'm thinking, hey, if one of them can equip it, we're going to do that. I'm not selling the Force Armor immediately. Sort of holding on to it. But there you go. You can see Strago could equip it, so we're going to buy it. And Strago will wear the Dow Robe plus the Enhancer. That's going to give him plus 12 to his magic. That's going to be enough to really get Shock going. And you're going to see probably early, I'm going to be using a lot of Shock. So now, okay, so this is interesting. So now we're looking for relics because, like I said, we want, for Realm, we want the Genji Glove, right? So I know that I'm going to be checking relics. And the way I like to check relics, you're always going to, like, you look at the relic shops that you're always going to visit. You're always going to visit South Figaro because you're visiting South Figaro anyway. Same with World of Ruin, South Figaro. But just looking in World Balance, you're always visiting South Figaro. You're often visiting Nike from like Serpent Trench, but like that's not always the case. You are always visiting Zen because you want to check that merchant, right? Um, and then there's Albrook, Nike. There's Miranda doesn't have one, right? There's Narshe. You're always visiting Narshe, right? Um, Depending on where you're searching, right? There's Thamasa, right? There's Mobliz, and there's Jidoor. And I like grouping these three because these three are very, very close to each other on the map. So when you know you're looking for relics, or when I know I'm looking for relics, I often hit these three, right? But here's the thing that I did that was sort of interesting. I just sold a bunch of my stuff to get those enhancers and that Dow robe. I know that if I were to find Genji Glove in a shop, I probably couldn't immediately buy it. So rather than going to Mobliz or Jidoor first, I'm going to Thamasa first, because Thamasa has these chests I'm going to check, and it makes it more likely that I could get a Genji Glove if I found it. Normally, I would go Jidoor, Thamasa, Mobliz, or Mobliz, Thamasa, Jidoor, right? But these three are close enough. I know I'm gonna lose a little bit of flying time doing it in this order, but it means I'm less likely to have to double dip because I'm looting Thamasa first. So my plan is to hit these three. I know that I'm gonna check Zen and Narshe later, so I'm not super worried. I'm gonna hit these three, and then when I hit World of Ruin, it's way easier to clear the relic shops because there are only 6 relic shops, right? There's South Figaro, there's Nike, there's Albrook, there's Zen, there's Jidoor, there's Thamasa. So if you loot Albrook and Thamasa in World of Ruin, and you should be looting Albrook in World of Ruin because there's a chest you can't access unless you're in World of Ruin. So if you loot these two, right, you check the cost of the Zen Esper, and you go to Jidoor for the auction house, and you check South Figaro for all the looting, then the only one that you don't naturally visit is Nike. And Nike being right next to South Figaro, you're often just going to go in there, and then you say, okay, I've checked all of the relic shops in World of Ruin. I know if there's a relic that I need, and I haven't searched for it, or I haven't found it yet, it's likely to be in World of Balance or not at all because I've fully checked World of Ruin, right? That I found really helps in terms of when I'm looking for things later. I want to let's say late game. I realize I've got a jump character. I've got Aura Lance. I really, really want a Dragonhorn, and it's something like random tiered shops where I know that Dragonhorn's likely to exist, right? If I've already checked all the World of Ruin shops, it's really easy for me to hit the remaining ones in World of Balance. Anyway, that was just sort of a side thing on relic shops, but just to be aware, right now what I'm doing is I'm looking for relics. I've got all these relic shops planned because I'm looking for Genji Glove. Right, so here I go into Thamasa, and what's the first thing that I find in Thamasa is Genji Glove. Also Gem Box, but I mean, I don't really care about Gem Box. Earrings also will eventually be useful, but I try not to buy them early because you often find them in chests. So I know immediately there's a Genji Glove. It's almost 30k, so that means for 160k, you can have a Genji Glove double Ragnarok wielder. That's a strong build. Very, very strong S-tier build. But it costs a lot of money. So you see I'm going up here and grabbing this extra chest in Strago's house that I often don't get. Why am I grabbing it? Because I want as much money as possible. Right? I know this is definitely going to be a money seed. And every single thing, I'm crossing my fingers. Give me some Doom Darts. Give me a Striker Sword, a Stunner Sword. Give me something that I'm going to be able to sell for a lot. And everything else that I see, I'm questioning whether I really want to buy it. Because I know that gold is going to be at a high premium. I'm already regretting buying that Dow robe. So here we go. What am I going to do now? Um, we've already sort of established that I'm trying to grab as much money as possible and go to Zen Merchant / Auction House. So I've mostly looted as I'm going to loot here. Again, I want to loot Albrook and World of Ruin. I've already looted the Massa, so World of Ruin is my next step. But before I do, obviously, I have to go to Zen and see how much the item is and whether it's an item or an Esper. So we're going to go to Zen, and then we're going to go to World of Ruin. And you can see immediately. Okay, so it's a 50k. That's a lot. We're hoping that it's going to be cheaper. But, I mean, yeah, and we know... Okay, so there's Dragoon Boots in here. That may come into play, but it probably won't, will it? You know, like, we've got enough builds probably already. We've got 3 pretty strong ones if we have enough money. And if we find a character who can use... another character who can use the Ragnarok, then we'll have 4. But it's going to take money. The only thing that I'd really consider purchasing right now, I'd love to find a cat hood. Because if I find a cat hood, I can use that. Like, just having a cat hood early before we take any fights means it's a very good chance that, like, we're going to find a lot of gold later and be able to afford a bunch of stuff. But as I predicted, going straight to World of Ruin, we're going to loot the school, we're going to loot the caves, and then we're going to warp stone out of here. I'm not going to check this monster in a box yet, because I don't want to take fights yet. I haven't purchased the Zen Esper. I haven't gone to Auction House Espers. I want to have those equipped before I take any fights. I'm currently at level 3. You know, if I find a Magic Power +2 Esper, and I put it on now and get to level 9, versus just taking a fight and getting to level 9, that's the equivalent of a Dow Robe and an Enhancer Sword. That's huge, those 6 points in magic. So I'm just going to put off, like, it's also helpful if the progress is higher, then fights are worth more experience, worth more money. So I'm putting it off. Ribbon and Aegis Shield, these Narshe Caves have already paid off a great deal. I'm likely to sell the Ribbon, I'm likely to sell the Aegis Shield, and that's going to be something like 30k gold between the two of them. Right? For 2 chests, that's pretty good. And that's sort of what you get when you increase the number of chests that you check. Green Beret, not super great, but here we go. And this is why we purchased the Warp Stone, so I could check those chests without losing too much time. Here I should have saved before I did that, or before I moved. If I run into Doomgaze, I'm going to lose 11 minutes and feel real stupid. But I took a risk that I really shouldn't have there. Continuing the plan, we're just checking stuff. Looks like, hey, we found Doom Darts. That's good to sell. And we find offering for sale. And this is important, right? Because offering, like I said, it could be a build, but the build that we're looking at, we know that for, we know that Rag is 6,500 or 65k. And we know Genji Glove is a little less than 30k, right? So we know that for Rag times 2 and Genji, we need 160k, right? So we know that we want to get as much gold as possible. We saw the offering for 51k, which means that it's going to sell for 25k, right? That is a large chunk of this, right? But what if we sell the offering and then we find a Valiant Knife? Well, now we'll feel a little silly, right? So that would be one of the reasons that you'd sort of hold off on selling it. But we just found it for sale. Which means if that happens, then we lose 25K by selling it and then buying it back. That's okay. I'm okay with that, right? What we get is more like an easier path to this, and it's sort of a safety net. So even though we already have an offering, finding it for sale allows us to sell it without even worrying about it. So we're definitely going to be looking at that. Meanwhile, gold hairpin, it's good to find because very rarely in the late game are you really concerned about your magic points. Mega Elixir also really good to find. If you're when you look at the builds that we have, actually I won't pause it for this. The builds that we have, we've got shock, we've got sword tech. We're talking about using the weapons, the Ragnaroks. None of this is really spellcasting intensive. So things like Mega Elixirs or gold hairpins or like economizers, great to sell. They're useful because they're money. Even though I saw a gem box, and a gem box economizer is theoretically a fun build, I don't need to worry about it. I'm just going to be focused on what we have, what we see, so very soon I'm going to try selling things to hit the hit the 130K. Oh, the other thing. I thought it sort of glossed over it. I believe that we found a Genji glove. Which means I can actually cut this out. Because I'm thinking 130K, and that's because I actually found a Genji glove way back in Narshe in the school. So we've checked Thamasso, we've checked Narshe in the school and caves. We've still got Albrook to check. But yeah, we're looking for 130K. We're gonna probably go to Zen next to see how much that Esper costs. Yep. So here we are, we're 13 minutes in. We still haven't taken a fight or anything like that, but we've definitely been making progress. The Esper here was 38K. Now that's less than the 50K, but it's still sort of steep. We would have preferred that it was cheaper. But, ain't nothing we can do about it. We're going to start selling stuff, try to make it work. So elixirs, late game matter. Early game, they don't really that much. I'm just going to sell them. Bone Club, Doom Darts, all of this stuff, it's just money. Aegis Shield, it's money, We're even going to sell the offering, because like I said, we saw the other thing. We saw the offerings for sale, so we know that we can. Going to keep selling here, just sort of have an idea how much gold we have. So Zephyr Cape, I might even sell a ribbon here. No, I'm going to save it for later. But yeah, it gives us an idea. We have enough now to probably do... actually, I saw we had 130K, so we have enough to do Auction House after this as well. We have 88K now. We're checking armor shops, hoping to find like Magus hats, which will be a big deal for our shock and sword tech. We're always going to check weapon shops, even though we know we're going for Ragnaroks. What if I find Illuminas for sale that are cheaper, that Setzer can equip? That would be amazing. Because we know we've got the Genji glove, we know where other Genji gloves are and everything. This is, we're always looking for, it doesn't hurt to check that extra weapon shop that's just on the way and everything, And, we're not going way out of our way to find another weapon shop, but we're definitely going to check the ones that we're nearby. Still checking item shops. What am I looking for? Probably Super Balls. It would be great if we could find Super Balls, because that would just power us through some of these early bosses. As it is with Shock and potentially getting Genji or getting Ragnaroks, We can probably handle bosses, but we don't have the Ragnaroks yet, and it would be great. I would much rather spend 30k on Super Balls now to enable us to get to put off getting Ragnaroks. So we found the Flame Shield. That's not a bad find, but it's probably something we're going to hold on to. So we're still... I mean, we've got a lot of money. We've got 80k, right? But the 80k is going to get us through Auction House, and then we're going to need another 130k, right? So we're running out of items to sell. So this is a bit of a drag situation that we are in, but I mean, the only thing left, we're going to do Auction House. It would be really, really nice if we didn't find the chest, the 50k chest. Because I want to pause for a moment and talk about Auction House, because this is the way Auction House works, alright? Auction House, you have the 50k chest. It's the hero ring. Vanilla. Right? Then you have the... hang on. You have the 20k Esper item. Now, when I say Esper item, it would be a dead check, which means it like, you know how dead checks are often Illuminas or Ragnaroks or something else, right? If it's a dead check, if it's not an Esper, it's still going to be a high, like, potent item, right? This hero ring could be, like, any chest, right? So you could find a Dirk for 50k, but you won't find a Dirk for 20k, right? It has to be in that pool of items, right? 10k Esper item. You know. And then there's the 10k Zephyr Cape spot, which could, again, be any chest, right? So this is the order in which they're likely to appear, right? This one is like 50% to occur, which means if you were to go to the auction house, look for the Esper, every time it's not the Esper, reset, right? It's going to be very, very hard for you to get these two when the hero ring is popping up 50% of the time, and then after you buy this more than 50% of the time, it's going to be this hero ring, right? These do not have equal chance. However, once you get rid of this hero ring, right, the Esper item becomes the most likely to occur, and once you get rid of these two, you're likely to get this one, right? There's also the Imp. The Imp occurs the least likely of all, right? So the way to go through the auction house, best case scenario, is to purchase this 50k, or like the best strategy rather is to purchase this 50k item, right? So that's why I say have 80k to go into the auction house. However, with just 30k, you can buy these two. If you're willing to spend a whole lot of time, you can continually reset and reset and reset until you get the Espers without buying the hero ring item. I'm not willing to spend that much time here, right? Even though this 50k would be really, really useful. If I see this 50k item, I'm going to buy it. That said, I can sit there and hope for Zephyr luck. I'm going to hope that I find the Esper immediately and don't have to spend the 50k. Alright. So here we go. I'm checking the shops because, I mean, I might as well. Not finding anything cheaper. I do see those ninja stars. And whether or not it comes into play, I'm aware, right? Like, so we've got 3 builds that we know about, right? But what if we find a character with throw? Those ninja stars are going to be real useful. And again, here, you see I'm going up here, not to go into Owzer's house for the check, but to grab this one extra chest. Why? Because this is a very, very gold-hungry seed, and I'm grabbing as much as I can. That X-Ether, I'm like, good, that's a few thousand. Right? Glowing stones available. If he said there were no glowing stones available, I wouldn't even trip about it. I'd be like, okay, I'll go get the Ragnarok swords instead. But here we've got our 50k chest. It's a hyper wrist. I'm going to have to buy it. Right? I don't want to spend 50k on a Hyper Wrist, but I have to take it out of the pool. So I buy it. You can see I started this at about 1730. Right? So it's like 1730. We're going to see how much time I spend on these two Esper checks. Right? Here's our next item. Magicite Stray. Starting at 40k. Okay, so this is going to be the 20k Esper item. So far, we found the most likely item both times. Right? We haven't been unlucky or lucky here. And we're grabbing this Esper at like 1835. You know, so it took us about a minute to get that Esper. That's not a bad time for a check. Here's your next item. Oh, that's a little unlucky. That's going to be the Zephyr Cape, which turned into a potion. Right? Now, if I purchased it, it would remove it from the pool. But it wouldn't really make this Esper item any more likely to occur. Mostly it would just make the Imp more likely to occur. So I'm not going to spend the 10k. Certainly not. It's not likely to save me any time. And even if it did, it wouldn't save me a whole lot. You know, that 10k, I'm not spending it. Right? Oh, we get unlucky and we get the Imp. Alright. So, on average, you're going to have 3 to 4 auctions to get those two items, right? So, 5 plus is unlucky. Getting 3 is fairly lucky. Well, it's lucky-ish. And getting 2 is like Zelfer luck. It's real lucky, you know? So here we're looking at least 5 auctions. We're a little unlucky here. Alright, and I didn't leave and save, so I couldn't reset out. The time it takes to leave and then save, and then like reset and everything, you're saving like maybe 10 seconds every imp. It's not super worth it. And there it is. There's the Esper. Okay, so that took 5 checks, which is unlucky, but it's not super unlucky. And we're going to see when he grabs the Esper, that's going to be exactly when the check ends. So 255, or 2055. Alright, so that means it took about 3 minutes and 25 seconds to do the auction house and get 2 Espers. That is pretty decent. Right? Like anyone who's sitting there like, oh, I hate auction house. That was an unlucky auction house. That was not the best auction house ever. Right? But it was 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. Right? Like a really bad auction house would be 5 minutes. For 2 Espers, that's fine. Right? So what are we doing now? I should have paused it and said, okay, we did the Espers. Now what's left? Well, it's still written right here. Lone Wolf and Kefket Narsh, right? If we're going to do the Lone Wolf, we have to be prepared for Kefket Narsh. Are we going to do Kefket Narsh? It depends. Right? If it's a character, it depends. Like, especially depends. Like, if it's Umaro or Go-Go, probably no. Right? If it's Gao, maybe. You know, Gao only has 2 checks as opposed to, like, Terra or Sabin or Shadow where you're getting 5. You know, obviously I'd prefer Terra, but Gao, the other thing, he has 2 abilities. He could have Throw or something like that. So I'll often give him a shot. Though, Shock's already out of the pool, Sword Tech's out of the pool, so like I'd be hoping for Throw and Blitz. Gao would be close, right? Like I'd have to decide in the moment, right? If it's an Esper / item, I don't know that it's an Esper, right? it's a fairly long check. I would just as soon not do it, especially if I found a character later, or a character in the mod check. So, no. But we're going to grab all the stuff here and see if we can find any money. God, that was mostly useless. All right, 2 empty checks, you know. But the Mega Elixir is going to sell for something like 20k, so that's good to have. And I don't think we've checked these Narsh shops yet, so I'm going to go up here. Still looking for Magus hats. And still not finding any. Yep, still checking relic shops and weapon shops. I always check them. It's good to know what's there. For example, if we were to find a merit award, that would be interesting, because merit award would allow anybody to equip Ragnarok. So let's say I find Sabin, and I say, okay, so Sabin with the merit award might be better. But here I find earrings, and I don't have any yet, so I'm going to go ahead and purchase them. Why? Because I'm about to potentially take fights, and earrings are good with shock. So we're going to buy 2. We're going to say, Strago, when it's time to fight, you will have these earrings. And now we head straight up. We are going to be keeping an eye out to see what would happen if we found Umaro. We didn't see anybody in that little window there, so we're going to assume it would probably be Esper item. Although sometimes it takes the dude a long time to appear. Sometimes it's still a character, so it's definitely a moot point right now. We don't have Umaro, but we're gonna note if we see anybody in there. Going up, we see no character. Actually, sort of a relief. I don't really want to fight the Kefka Narsh thing. I think my ideal first fight would be either like a monster in a box that was like PM stalkers or something else that I can handle, or like a dragon. So I did menu briefly to check what one of those espers was. That's because when he says don't move, right, it's just waiting an amount of time. And we get another offering, which makes us feel better about selling it, but we're probably going to sell that one. It's annoying. It certainly doesn't prepare us to take a fight, but we do consider the early game done. You notice that in my timer I skipped out of early game. So now we're entering the mid game. Mid game means we're looking for we're like doing checks. So we're going to take fights. We're looking for builds. So what we have right now in terms of builds, we've got Sword Tech, Shock, and potentially Realm with the Genji Glove. Right. We don't know. Maybe our Espers include Strength Espers at this point, and Realm with Genji Glove will be great, you know. But our focus right now is going to be on trying to make the purchase of this, because we haven't found Super Balls, right? Right now, Shock at level 3, not super awesome, right? The first thing we want to do is accrue 130k. All right, that's a sort of a tall order, but we did find the Mega Elixir. We found a few other things. We're going to sell like everything and see what we can do. We've been holding on to that Force Armor. We're probably going to sell it. We might even sell an Elemental Shield, although that's less likely. We're looking to try to get enough money for these 130k for these Ragnaroks. So, sell the Mega Elixir. We're going to sell the Tack Stars, the Magical Brush. Sell, the Force Armor and the Offering that we've just found. And a couple of the ribbons. Maybe a heifer. Nope. And where does that leave us? 113k. And we decide right here, like we sell the drill, We decide right here, okay, we don't have enough. Like, I could sell, like, X potions, everything. It's still not going to do it. Um, or, like, I'm so close, but I'm not there. So, what's the next play? Right? Where else can I find chests that are easy to get to? Right? I've done all of the usual ones. I've done Albrook, I've done Thamasa, I've done South Figaro, both worlds. I've done what else? I've done Returner's Hideout. You know, if I've had Terra, I would love to go through Sealed Cave and all that. If I had Locke, I might even love to go through Phoenix Cave. But as it is, I got no chests to check except for one thing that it's like I've always had this play like in the back of my mind, like to be aware that I could do it if I really needed gold. But it's Doma. You're gonna see me fly to Doma, right? I need something like 15k. I want probably a little bit more, right? So watch how quickly these chests come up. I'm entering at let's say I started over there at 25, 35. So how long does it take to loot the chests in Doma? Right? You've got these two here. 1, 2. Striker, and Gravity Rod. I know I'm already there. Like I've already got enough, but I'm here. Might as well finish this out. Who knows what you find, right? I could, at this point, use like some better armor. I know that I sold the force armor and everything, and I never really saw any really good body armor. So at some point, I'm gonna need some. Dow robe's all I got really, and we find the imp halberd. That's another thing that I can sell. I said it was 25, 35 when we started this. It looks like I'm going to get out of here in under 2 minutes. Yeah, I already checked the World of Ruin Narsh Moogle Cave. It has a chest. I already grabbed that one and I warp stone out of it. You know, but yeah, you see, now I've got enough money to go buy these swords. So we're going to look at Realm with the Genji Glove and the Rag. What just happened? Okay, so we're going to do the equipment and everything. Put the enhancers on the guys that are supposed to have the enhancers, and they're going to get elemental shields because their job is to cast. Well, their job is to have higher magic power. So you know, this I admittedly make a couple mistakes here in the menuing. I could have been better, but we give Realm. We don't want her to have the Dow robe. We want her. We want that to go on to Strago. Mog shouldn't have the red cap. That increases your vigor. So we're gonna change this around a fair bit. Definitely was too slow in this menu. My problem was I didn't plan it in advance. I was too busy worrying about having the stuff to buy. And the next step was to menu. I really should have planned this out. I should have said, okay, I know that Strago is going to have the Dow robe and enhancers. He's probably going to have an elemental shield, right? I would know that Mog would have the enhancer, elemental shield. I didn't find Magus hats, so neither of them would have them. Realm was going to have the red cap, the Ragnarok times 2. Alright, and I knew that Setzer would just have what's remaining. Alright, I also knew that Realm would have Genji Glove and Hyperist. I knew that Strago would have earrings. So, I mean, I have a Rage Ring, which I'm probably going to wind up giving to whoever can equip it just for the elemental protection. And, I'm going for there, but I'm going to make some mistakes here. Juggling the red cap, I go, oh, crap, I think Mog has it. We need to give it to Realm. Gotta sell some stuff here. I'm gonna wind up trying to decide, I'm gonna take the additional hyper risk. I'm gonna take it off of Setzer and give it to Mog, which makes sense because right now Mog isn't gonna use Sword Tech 6. He doesn't have it yet, so he's gonna be using Sword Tech 1, which is Dispatch, and it's strength based. So I'm gonna say oh, maybe I should just give that to him, right? This is a lot of indecision and everything. You can see I'm losing probably more time than it took to check Doma in this menu here. And this is one of the reasons why it's very important not to menu in the early game. Right? I'm not doing this until I know that the next step is to take a fight. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm saying, you see, I put the hyper wrist on Setzer. I'm going to change my mind and remenu, right? The reason I'm doing that, I know I'm going to take a fight. If I do this every time I find something that I'm thinking of equipping, God, that would be a loss of 10, 15 minutes just with the stupid menuing, right? We're only really menuing in the mid game, right? So now it's time to do checks. What check am I going to do? Right? I'm going to actually highlight the checks that are available. We've already done the Mog check. We've already done Calling In. So we've got Daryl's Tomb. We've got Esper Mountain. We've got these Strago checks. We've got, I guess, Tritalk. Oh, we have 3 Espers, don't we? Yeah, okay. We have, I guess, Tritalk. These are all checks that are available. Doomgaze is available, right? What's the first check I want to do? Or also, we've got these dragons that we could fight. What I actually want to do, I'm looking at my equipment and I'm saying, I'm level 3. I don't have super balls. I don't think that I can fight a dragon efficiently. What I'd really like is to have a monster in a box that I could fight efficiently. So that's what we're going to look for. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to check to see if the monster in a box in Narshe, because as soon as I switch worlds, it's going to be Narshe, right? As soon as you switch worlds, you're right next to Narshe. So the first thing I'm going to do, just for funsies, is I'm going to check this monster in a box. Because if it's what I'm looking for, then I can use that to get going. Once I've got a few levels, even just level 8 will bring me enough to use Shock effectively. So I'm going to save, and here I'm going to make a mistake. You'll see, because I'm going to check this chest eventually. Get the fuck out of my way, man. And there we go. This is a jackpot. Although, there's 2 PM Stalkers out there, so it's not the hardest thing to find. It's pretty nice. I'm going to start this fight, and then I'm going to go... Oh, hey, hang on. What did I forget? I forgot to equip Espers. I don't even know if I have, Strength Espers or anything. So we're going to take a look and see what we've got. If I've got Stat Espers, that's great. If I don't, if it's just Magic I want to learn, these Magic points will be useful as well. And the first thing I find, a Strength Esper, a Speed Esper, another Strength Esper. Alright, so what are we going to do? Well, we know that Realm is getting the Strength. For sure. That's going to mean that her build is essentially complete. Right? I'm not worried about her having magic or anything like that. I'm going to give her a Strength Esper, and I'm going to forget about her Espers for the rest of the game. Right? Mog can use a Strength Esper or a Magic Esper. I'd prefer to give him a Magic Esper, but let's be honest, if we have one Magic Esper, we're going to give it to Strago, so probably going to try to beef up Mog's strength, right? Also, speed is a potential. But speed probably going to go on to... speed is useful always, but Strago has low speed, so we're probably going to give him speed to begin with. So let's see if we wind up putting them the way I'm thinking right now. Yep. So Realm's going to immediately have strength. We thought about giving strength to Setzer, but he doesn't have anything that he's going to do with that strength yet. So we're going to give it to Mog, and we're going to give Strago the speed. And now let's go. Now here I'm going to consider... I could immediately end this fight with a Fire Rod and save myself about a minute. But I'm going to opt not... I'm going to consider it, and I'm going to opt not to do it. Because I don't feel strong enough yet, even after this fight, to handle certain enemies. Like, if I run into something where that Fire Rod's going to be real useful, I don't want to, like, limit myself yet. So I make the decision to just go ahead and take the additional time and use some of these Revivifies. I tried to see if Dispatch was going to instantly kill one of them. It doesn't, and I don't want them to be lower HP. These guys are not a threat to you unless they have lower HP, because that Drain attack of theirs is going to do, like, no damage unless you do damage to them. So yeah, we kill them. Now we've got levels. We're gonna heal. We're at level 8. What do we do next? Alright. Here's our tracker. I know I'm using this tracker in a different way than they usually do. Instead of highlighting a check because it's done, I'm highlighting what's available. But this is the way that I tend to think about the game. Right? I think about available checks and turning them off instead of turning on, etc. You know? This is the way I think is best to look at it, right? We've got, 4 characters. We've got 3 Espers, right? What's our first check? Well, we can do Daryl's Tomb. We could do some Strago checks. I'm looking at all of these, and they're sort of commitments, right? If I do any of the Strago checks, it's going to be a long check just to fight the boss. I don't know if I can face the boss or not. If I go to Daryl's Tomb, it's going to be... I have to go all the way through there just to fight the boss. I don't know if I can fight the boss or not, right? And, like, the fastest one would be Esper Mountain, except it's not fast because I have to switch worlds. So what I want is to take a fight that's going to be productive and that, you know, hopefully, like, will give me some XP to get me past level 8. So the best thing is actually going to be Doomgaze here, right? Because I can take that fight instantly. If it's something I can't handle, I can reset out of it. So the first thing I'm thinking right now is, let's just go ahead and take a fight. So we're going to save, we're going to fly, we're going to start an immediate fight with Doomgaze, and let's see what we get. And it figures, we've got a Fire Rod, we've got a Pearl Rod, we fight something that needs Bolt. But still... we're going to do some damage to it. We've got Realm with her dual Ragnaroks. Going to do some damage here. She's going to do about 2,000 just with this attack. We're going to have Setzer use Runic to prevent any, like, real danger. And just hope that Strago and Realm can do enough damage to handle number 128. And it's probably going to work fairly quickly. So once we get through this fight, Realm runs out of... you can see she ran out of magic points, so she stopped critting. I'm going to consider probably using a Tincture, but this is going to be over fast enough that I don't really need to. Strago's using Shock for 700. That's pretty significant. And if Realm procs, then she's going to do 1,000 damage. And there it is. It's over. So, now we have... right, like, because we had the Strength +1 Esper on this whole time, Realm's Strength is now comparable to the strength of a character like an Edgar or a Cyan, maybe even a Sabin. right? Depending on the level that she's at. And we now have 4 Espers, so we're going to see what Siren does and equip our Espers as they should be. Okay, so Siren is magic power. Whew, what do we do here? Oh, I just realized I was typing on the thing while the tracker was up. Okay, so we've got Realm with strength. We've got Mog currently with strength. Strago with speed. Obviously, magic isn't going to go to Setzer. Do we put the magic on Strago? Yeah, well, yeah, obviously. So the question is, does Mog get strength or speed? We're going to put probably speed on Mog because we know either way speed's going to be useful. And we're going to put strength on Setzer. Now, is strength going to be useful on Mog? Theoretically, yes, but it depends. Like, I still believe we're likely going to wind up using magic power for Mog. So, like, Strago and Mog might even share this magic power Esper. So, like, the other thing, Mog, in order to get to Sword Tech 7, is going to need level 45, and I'm not planning on taking enough dragons to get it to level 45. I'm really not leaning into strength on Mog, so we're probably going to give him speed and give the magic to Strago. Let's see. Yep. And we're level 13, so Realm has gained 10 points in strength already. So that plus the 14 that she gets from having 2 Ragnaroks equipped, plus the Hyper Risk, Realm's strength is pretty sufficient right now. Obviously, we'd prefer to give her a hero ring, but, you know, Hyper Risk is good while we have it. So, what's next? We got Doomgaze is off the table, right? So we've got Strago checks, we've got Owzer's House, and we've got Daryl's Tomb. Is there any question where we're going next? No, we're going Daryl's Tomb. It's not only close by, it's a nice fast check. It's got a few chests, and that's great because we're still in the mid-game. Oh, I'm going to accidentally land in Colligan and then have to go back. But it's got chests, and we still sort of care about gold, right? If we were to discover an Edgar, we'd be like, oh good, we could give you Genji Glove and some Ragnaroks. And that would cost about 160 gold to do. Or 160k gold. If we were to find Cyan, we could, and a merit award or something, right? Like, we could do the same thing. So, yeah, we're still checking chests. And even chests that I would normally skip in the mid-game. Like this chest right here, in this corner, right? Oftentimes I'd leave that alone. But I'm like, every little bit helps here. We still care about gold. Also, we don't have a whole lot of armor. And that's still going to concern me. So I'm going to be looking for money or decent armor. A behemoth suit would be perfect for Realm. Or a snow muffler. Because snow muffler, obviously, Realm's being in the front row, I'm not super excited about that. So we're going to see what we can find. So as we go here, just run through this check fairly as quickly as possible. Hey, look, there's a monster in a box. Do we go for it? Yeah. We still want money, and monster in a box could be useful for money. PM stalkers even are useful for money. And, there's always a chance we find the Gigantos. Oh, hey, we found the Gigantos. Right? So, I'm going to discover here that Shock kills it instantly. And I'm going to say, wow, Strago, you're doing a lot of damage with Shock. I mean, he did almost 4k. Right, at level 13, that's a lot. But, yeah. And then we find here, there's Valiant Knife. And we say, immediately, who can equip the Valiant Knife? Setzer can equip the Valiant Knife. Well, Setzer has a Strength Esper, and we know where there are offerings for sale. So here we have our 4th build. Right? So our builds: Realm, Strength, Genji, Genji Rag. All right. Mog, currently using Speed, Sword Tech, probably Sword Tech 6. Setzer has a Strength Esper, Valiant Knife Offering. And Strago has Magic, Shock. We have our builds, right? We don't have the offering yet, but when we do, we'll like almost officially be out of mid game. The only other thing that we're looking for, we still need armor. That's the only reason we're not really out of mid game, right? So we've got that. That was a really fast mid game. You know, that actually happens a lot. Marvel Shoes sleep here. I don't want to take Marvel Shoes, but if it's something easy like Leader, then I'll just kill it and take the Marvel Shoes rather than reset and have to refight the Gigantos. Let's see what we got. We got Doom. Get the hell out of here. We're not doing Doom. We're not going to fight Doom just to have Marvel Shoes. I like Marvel Shoes. I don't like Marvel Shoes nearly enough. If it said Offering sleeps here, I probably wouldn't fight Doom for it. I would just take the Valiant Knife and go. So here we're going to refight the Gigantos. I'm going to be a little bit stupid here and have a Realm attack. Fortunately, Realm's got 2 Ragnaroks, and that makes her really good at evading attacks. And then the Shock is going to kill Gigantos. Oh, I didn't... I need to stop typing and forgetting that it's not in here. So these are the builds that we're looking at. Alright, we're looking at Realm with the Strength, Genji Rag, Mog with Speed, Sword Tech 6, Setzer with Strength, Valiant Knife Offering, and Strago with Magic and Shock, or with the Magic Esper and Shock. Right? If we find another Magic Power Esper, that's going to go to Mog. You know, if we don't, then Mog and Setzer will, or Mog and Strago will probably switch Espers for a little bit. You know, but this will work out pretty well. So, yeah. We're doing this. We're going to grab the Valiant Knife here again and then warp out. What's our next check? What's our next check? Well, we've got Strago checks. We've got Owzer's House. We've got Esper Mountain. Esper Mountain's probably one of the better checks. But, of course, we don't want to switch worlds and then switch worlds and then switch worlds, right? This is the only World of Balance check, right? I mean, Burning House could be World of Balance or World of Ruin, but because it could be World of Ruin, we're going to consider it just a World of Ruin check, right? So, really, we don't want to go back and forth, so we're putting off Esper Mountain. So, it's Strago checks or Owzer's House. It's going to be Owzer's House. It's going to be the next check. So here we go to Owzer's House. Would it ever be Tritalk? Of course not, because Tritalk is not going to be a character, right? And as you can see, we're running low on checks. And running low on checks, you really, really, really want to focus on checks that can yield characters. So we're going to go here. We're going to save. I think we forgot to save. Oh, we're switching. Okay, see, this is the thing. We're switching the shields that they had equipped because we want Mog and Strago to learn different magic. Now, why am I doing this now? Because I'm planning ahead. If Owzer's House is not a character, what do I have to do next? Well, probably I'm going to look at the Fanatics Tower. If Fanatics Tower is a character, and it's a good character, someone like Terra or Sabin or Shadow, I would want to go there. And if that's the case, then I don't have any Super Balls. I'm going to need magic. I've got some rods. I feel fairly competent with the Fire Rod, the Ice Rod that we found in Daryl's Tomb, and the Pearl Rod that I have. I've got 3 rods, but I can't use Shock, right? So I've got 3 rods, and I've got the spells that we have available. Strago's got some natural magic. I've got Espers. I can sort of make it work, but I want to sort of spread that elemental magic out just in case we run into, for example, Tritok, right? So that's why I'm switching the shields before this fight. I'm hoping that Mog and Strago will learn their different spells and be able to make that work. So right now we're at what, 4 Espers? And we're into Azur's house. Level 80 magic. What am I going to do here? I'm going to run the hell away. I'm going to use a smoke bomb if I have it. Yeah. Why are we running away here? Because level 80 magic gives you no XP. It does give you magic points, but I mean, these are dangerous fights. It's just best to skip them. Right? I'm still checking chests because I still need enough money for the last offering. This chest right here is essentially free because you have to have time to check it before the door is ready for you. And my movement here is just awful. I admit that I haven't slept as well as I should at this point. I think I did this late at night and probably should have been sleeping. So some of the things that I do are going to be obvious mistakes. Here I'm equipping the Valiant Knife in battle, because why not? Like, one of the mistakes I made was where I should have equipped the Espers. You know, that mistake cost me, like when I didn't equip the Espers earlier, that mistake probably cost me like 40 seconds. Here, I'm trying to see if Strago's learned all the spells from Siren. If he hasn't, then I'm obviously going to keep it on him. But at some point, I'm aware I want to switch the Magic Esper and give Mog some time with it. So here, it's not a character, that's a drag, right? We're going to kill the Air Force, but I'm already thinking, what's my next check? I'm going to cast Bolt 2, and the Ragnarok's going to make a quick work of this. He doesn't have Bolt 2, and I'm not going to take the time to cast Flare. I don't have a... what you call it? I don't have a Thunder Rod, so he's just going to use the Shock ability. And after Shock, yeah, and if that hadn't killed him, Relm would have killed him with her next swing. So, with Azur's house out of the question, right? Now we have to be looking at Fanatic's Tower. So, with that in mind, well, at least we learned the magic that we did. So we're going to see what this is. We're hoping for an Esper, not another dead check. We found a couple dead checks, and here's another dead check. It's a Genji glove. Great, that's money, but it's not an Esper. So what do we do now? Right? Why do we do Fanatic's Tower over these Ebbett's Rock and Burning House? Especially when we're only pretty sure that we can handle whatever the boss is. Well, because Fanatic's Tower, we're going to see what it is in advance. We're going to see whether it's a character. That's really, really, really important. You'll recall, this is what I'm talking about when I say peak checks. Down here, what's this? Fanatic's Tower. That's right in there, right? Azur's house we wound up doing anyway. Esper Mountain is also a peek check. So I'd take Esper Mountain, at least peek at it, before I do the other two. So, here's our plan, right? We are going to peek Fanatic's Tower. If Fanatic's Tower is not a character, if it's not a character, we will not do it, right? At that point, we would want to do the Ebbett's Rock, Burning House checks, but we'd want to peek Esper Mountain first. So if Fanatic's Tower is not a character, we're going to go outside Ebbett's Rock. We're going to save. And then we're going to go to Esper Mountain. And if Esper Mountain is a not a character, then we just reset and do Ebbett's Rock. So that's the plan. Let's see how it goes. Oh, first we're buying stuff. Yeah, this makes sense. If I'm going to Fanatic's Tower, I want to have some armor. As I recall, Mog's barely wearing anything, and the other thing is Setzer, if he's going to be in the front row using the Valiant Knife, he's going to need something better than the Mithril Vest that he has equipped. So I'm looking for armor here. I'm not finding any. I'm like, I wonder if there's armor elsewhere. I know I'm going to go east here to the Fanatics Tower. So I say, what's on the way is Miranda. It's got two checks and it's got an armor shop. I'm just going to go ahead and hit Miranda on the way. This is a real mid-game kind of check where it's just like, there's one thing that I need. It's not in a weapon shop. It's in the armor shop. I'm just going to... I don't even know if I check the armor shop here. Yeah, I find 20k gold. That is a great find. And then just get out of my way, dude. What's in the armor shop? It is Genji armor. Just exactly what the doctor ordered, right? Let's see how this goes. Yes, I can equip it. Mog can't, but everybody else can. It sucks because Mog needs armor, but I'm sure we'll find something for him. And yeah, we can sell like the Zarina ring. We can sell the Maneater, the hardened weapon. And we're definitely there. We won't have enough to buy two. We'll consider trying to find enough money to get a second one. Mog can't put on the Dow robe, so or the Genji armor. So I guess the Genji armor is going to have to go to Realm. Mog can use the Silk robe, which is a little bit of an improvement. And Setzer still has the Mithril vest. We're thinking, okay, we'll just have to come back. We're gonna check here, see what's here. Nothing. Okay, great. We're gonna check what's in this thing. Is it Genji armor? It is not. It is Thief glove. So right now I'm thinking, well, if we do Fanatics Tower, we'll hit the dragon, and that'll be some gold, or armor. If not, we'll find another bit of armor as well. We still need to find also the money for offering. So we will probably still be checking chests. Here we are. We're gonna check what's in Fanatics Tower. Fanatics Tower is not a character. We're out. Ebbett's Rock, but we're gonna want to try. So we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna save at Ebbett's Rock before we switch worlds, and then we're going to try Esper Mountain. Now this is a play that you should do whenever you're in a situation where, where your best check is in World of Balance, right? But it's an orphan. So if you're in a spot where you've got like Doma Castle and South Figaro Cave, like the tunnel armor check, and you've got let's say Opera House, and all that, but and you've got all these World of Balance or World of Ruin checks, right? Then it doesn't matter, right? So let's say you got Ebbett's Rock. You've got Burning House. You've got Velt Cave. All that, right? But let's say actually you don't. You just have Ebbett's Rock and Burning House, right? Because this is a spot that you're in a lot where you've sort of exhausted all your other checks, right? Here, if you've got these checks available, you're just going to go back into World of Balance because you're going to check Doma Castle, and if it's not, you're going to check Stealth Figaro Cave, and if it's not, you're going to check Opera House, and then you might go do these two, right? But let's say that all you have is Doma Castle, right? If Doma Castle isn't a character, you're going to get a character in one of these two, right? So you're in World of Ruin, right? So this only applies when you're currently in World of Ruin, right? Your best check is at Doma Castle. You don't want to warp to Doma Castle, save outside, walk in, find it's not a character, reset, warp back to World of Ruin, and do Ebit's Rock. That takes almost as much time as doing a dead check. Right? Like, or it can, depending on how quickly you fly around and how quickly you menu and everything. It's a waste of time. So instead, what you're going to do is you're going to save outside of Ebit's Rock instead of outside of Doma Castle, right? Then you're going to go check Doma Castle, and if it's a character, yay, you know. And this is again only if you're doing peak checks, only if you're doing some of these checks right here, right, where you can see. So only if you're doing Welk or Phantom Train. Right, something where you don't have to complete the check, you just have to see what it is, But if that's the case, you save, then you peek, and then if it's not what you're looking for, you just reset out. So that's what we're doing here. It's a very, very specific scenario where you do that, but it's going to save me a little bit of time. So you can see, I saved outside of Ebit's Rock. I'm going to go check Esper Mountain. If this is not a character, I will just go straight to Ebit's Rock. So I've got my fingers crossed. Please be a character. Please be a character. Please be a character. Please be a character. It's Shadow! We're doing this. If it was like Umaro or Gao or something, then I'd be or Go-Go, I'd be less excited. But Shadow has all these checks available, and we're doing it. It's Dullahan, Scarbeam. This is gonna be quick and easy. And now we've got Shadow. We've got these checks available. It's 5 checks. This fight, obviously, it's trivial at this point. We've got a fairly strong party even for the mid game. And he's down. He's got health. So we took a look at what he had, because if he has throw and we don't have offering yet, we might just go by. We saw those Ninja Stars in Jinor. We know where they are. They're about 400, 500. That's going to be easy. For 8,000, I could buy 20 of them. That's going to be good enough for the rest of the seed. That's a really strong build. Obviously offering Valiant Knife is a better build, but it's cheaper to go with the Ninja Stars. And we've got another Hyper Wrist and everything. We would be fine doing that. So it's something that we considered briefly. If Shadow had throw, it would be decision time for us. He didn't have throw, so we're not using him. Our current equipment concerns are we need the offering, and we need maybe another Genji armor. Right, so we're looking at another freaking 100k gold, this late in the game. Not super awesome to still need that. But we've got all these checks left. What are we going to do? We're going to immediately go to Gao's father's house, because of course we are. Of course we are. And we find a Magicite. It's Carbuncle. We're at 5 Espers, 5 characters. Carbuncle, HP plus 100. HP plus 100, could that not be... Or could that be better for our Valiant Knife offering? No, it could not. You know, we're at level 23. You can see that our HP is still, you know, in the 3 digits and everything. In the next, you know, 10 levels or so, we're probably going to gain about, like, 800 HP. HP plus 100, that's going to matter. But we're gonna keep the strength on him for on Strago or on Setzer rather, just for a little bit longer before swapping it over, because I don't want him to rely completely on HP and having low HP. I want him to have a strong base strength. But we're definitely going to use that HP 100 later. His vigor is currently at 51, and I'm going to say that's all right for. Like we should improve it a little bit before we do anything else. What's our next check? Why am I using a tent? Because our next check, we know that it's not Gao's father's house. We need a character, right? My God, how great Floating Continent is to find a character. 2 checks that cannot be dead, and both of them can be characters. So, that's where we're going, right? We don't want to put Floating Continent off, right? The worst case scenario for Floating Continent is to have 2 characters, but that's not really that bad. If it only has, like, the best case is for it to have 1 character, 2 espers, right? Worst case is 2 characters, no espers. And I will miss menu here and go into World of Ruin when I meant to just hit Floating Continent, so that was a mistake. But yeah. Floating Continent is our next check here. Oh, hey, am I capturing cursor? I am. I shouldn't be doing that. So here's a mistake that I'm going to make here. It's not a big one, but it's a mistake. Here are movers. Now, I should know, but I forget that movers don't take much damage. They have a lot of defense. So they're not going to take much damage from the shock. So what I should have done now is use a barrier piercing multi-hitting attack, which is GP Rain. I could have just used GP Rain and immediately been over with this. But instead I used Dispatch, which is barrier piercing. I try to attack with the Ragnaroks. It doesn't work. I see, okay, well, what if shock... Do they have, like, low HP like these... like some of the other dudes do? Like, nope. Okay, well, we'll use a Dispatch, and then it's only here that I go, oh man, GP Rain. I should use GP Rain. We're going to use Quasar on me. It's going to take some damage, but not a whole lot. Here's where I wish that I had healing. It's very rare that I spend a lot of time worrying about healing, because, like I said, the best defense is often, or the fastest defense is a good offense. It's a fast offense. So, yeah, we're gonna use shock here. We're gonna just try and get through these fights as quickly as possible. And I wish, yeah, right here he's gonna use Pearl, and I'm gonna say, oh man, it's probably gonna kill Strago. He's not gonna get the magic from this next fight. It's fine. We do need to start giving Mog some magic power, though. He's got a lot of speed, but he doesn't have any magic power, so I might even switch the espers this time. We're going to use potions. I did buy a couple potions, I believe, just in case. He doesn't have any healing magic, but I do see... Incidentally, we have Berserk. We picked up Berserk, which is a useful spell to have in case we run into Magi Master. So yeah, we're gonna switch Setzer to the HP Esper. We're gonna sort of, like, while we're fiddling with it, we're gonna give... It looks like we're gonna give Strago one more level, or one more fight with his... Nope. We changed our mind. We're gonna give the magic power to Mog, give Strago the speed, and just keep going. Here's a minor adaptation. We're going to have Realm attack the dude who casts Pearl first, so we know that he won't live through shock and then counterattack it. And now we're just looking at the boss fight. And what's the boss fight but, surprise, a vanilla Ultros? Is this even randomized? Okay. So, yeah, we're not in any danger. We're just trying to get through this as quickly as possible. It's here, I think, I do have, I do have Ice Rod that I haven't used. Should I use it? Should I use the Ice Rod? I mean, it turns out not. Chupon dies pretty quickly. But I'm starting to think, I should make use of these to gain like a little bit of time in fights. Where I can. Because I, likely to just never use them. So here I'm going to use an Ice Rod by Mog because he's using Dispatch is sort of slow. And at some point soon he's going to have Stunner and he's going to use that instead. So maybe this will make the fight go a little bit easier. A little bit faster. And again, we're hoping that what we find here is one character, 2 Espers. There's only one chance for there to be a dead check, so if we find one character, 2 Espers, that's ideal. It brings us to 6 characters, 7 Espers, and we can make the last checks, especially if it's something like Celis. But either way, this is we know it's not dead checks for 2 of them, and that's pretty good. It's an Esper. It's Shoat. I'm going to keep going. We got a full heal from before the Vargas fight, so we don't need to do that. I'm going to make a mistake here. I'm going to check this chest, find a tent. What I should have checked was the other monster in a box chest, because if it's an offering, then I don't need to worry about buying the offering. And if it's something else, if it's something like the dude that gives you Dragon Claw, well, Dragon Claw is worth selling. I know that I need to buy offering, but so I'm thinking I still should check the chest. But you can see I've considered the mid game finished probably about 10 minutes ago. We're in late game because we've got all the builds that we need, right? So really, I just sort of want this extra Genji armor and the offering. Offering, I know where it is, so I don't consider it to be like something I don't have. So really, if I had to go now, right, like I could. And I'm aware of that. I've considered it the late game, and currently I'm just kicking myself for grabbing that extra chest in the late game. Shouldn't be doing it. I shouldn't have the money concerns that I do, but, what have you. I'm going to just go through as quickly as I can. And if I find some easy way to get through, like with enough money, then we're in good shape. And then right here, I'm super happy. Poltergeist bailing me out. Why? Because Poltergeist is going to give me the Aura Lance plus the fights that we're taking here. I'm going to have enough gold to buy the offering. Right? And if I'm going to have enough gold to buy the offering, then I'm officially in late game. Like, I've already hit the split for it, but like this is where I truly decided I'm in late game, which means no chests. And like I'm gonna have like 1 or 2 more menus to equip stuff, but mostly equipment is settled. Right? So now our objective is just Go, 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 go through checks. We're trying to complete all of our requirements. So I was really, really glad to see Poultrygeist here, because he's going to give me the Aura Lance. The Aura Lance will sell for enough money. I thought I had Stop Spell. I don't, but that's fine. Shock is going to be strong. We're going to move Setzer to the front row so he can do real damage with the Valiant Knife. And we've also got a Pearl Rod, which I'm going to remember in a moment. He's going to use Dispatch. Realm's going to attack. Strago's going to shock, and then I'm going to be like, "Oh, hey, Mog, you got a Pearl? We got a Pearl Rod." Use that Pearl Rod, and that's going to finish the fight. Now, at no point was I threatened by Poultrygeist. You know, my only concern here, using the Pearl Rod, was just finishing the fight faster. Because, again, we're at go, 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 go through checks. So, we've killed it. It turns out Setzer just learned Life 3 from his HP Esper. That's pretty great, but he's not going to bother spreading that around. That is right now the only calmness protection that I have. So here's the question. Should I spread that Esper around everybody? No! No! The amount of menuing that would take, right? I am going to cast Life 3 on one character, and that's going to be the character with the Valiant Knife offering. Because that's the one character that I'm worried about calmness for. But one of the cool things about having lots of characters with strong builds is you don't have to worry about calmness wiping out 2 of your party members. As long as you've still got strong builds remaining, you know that you can beat Kefka tier 4, right? I am not going to be focused too far on that. I mean, I also still have... I got Ragnarok. I also still have 3 more Espers to find, and if I find Fenrir or Golem, then I don't have to worry. Phantom, I probably wouldn't bother with, because I don't count HP. And because when you're using Valiant Knife Offering and things like Double Ragnarok, it can be difficult to do a precise amount of damage. So it's difficult to sort of get him in range and then do enough damage. So here we go. We've got Inferno. Like this is another Kefka's Tower boss. It should be really a drag, but it's gonna this isn't a concern to anybody. All right, we got Double Ragnarok. We've got Shock. We've got Setzer is gonna attack with the Valiant Knife. He's gonna do a fair amount of damage. Right now, Mog's the least useful character with just Dispatch. But this is going to be over very quickly. Yeah, like, look at Realm's crazy damage. Even when she's not proccing the crits, she's doing 1,000 damage. Because she's got a lot of strength, and she's got decent levels at this point. Yeah, this fight's over. Let's go. We got our fingers crossed for a character. Let's see what we get. We get another Esper. We know it's an Esper because it's not a character and it's never dead. So, now what checks do we have? We have Velt Cave, and we have the Strago checks. We don't want to do the Strago checks, so Velt Cave it is. We got our fingers crossed. Velt Cave is a character. If Velt Cave is not, then we just have to go back to the Strago checks. It's Ebbett's Rock again. Alright, so we're going to go here and heal. and then go straight to Velt Cave. Maybe straight was the wrong word. I'm piloting a little bit drunk. But yeah, here we go. Velt Cave. We're at 5 and 8, which isn't the worst, right? Like if we find an Esper, then we're solid. You know, depending on what character we find. Like ideally, we'd find a character like Celis, who has 2 Esper checks in Magitech. That we could do, but I don't know. You go with what you can, right? We're trying desperately to avoid doing Ebbett's Rock or Burning House. Also, we haven't found a whole lot of dead checks yet. I mean, we found like we got one. Lone Wolf was dead check, and so was Owzer's House. But okay, good. We got Locke. Yeah, these 2, Burning House and Ebbett's Rock, could very well be dead checks. We find Locke. We're definitely taking that. Locke. And what is Locke at? Locke has Phoenix Cave, which is available. Also, Tunnel Armor and Narsh Weapon Shop. It's not hard to figure out what we want to do. Phoenix Cave takes a long time. It's a free check, but like we're not checking chests, so at this point, so we're just running through Phoenix Cave, and it's just slow, right? Tunnel Armor, right? It's in the other world. We would have to switch worlds to go do it, and it could also be a character, right? However, Narsh Weapon Shop, never a character. It's a nice free check, and it's in Narsh, which allows us to do Tri-Talk. So our plan is to do Tri-Talk, or I'm sorry, do Narsh Weapon Shop, then do Tri-Talk, and if we still need to do something else for an Esper, then we can probably do Tunnel Armor. Right? I'm going to check here, even though I already checked there. I'm still sort of hurting. Like, actually, I don't know. Like, I've got enough money for offering, but I'm still thinking, like, best case scenario, I find enough money to also get the Genji armor. But I've decided enough is enough. Why am I going north instead of south? Because I'm going to South Figaro, north to South Figaro, yes, to grab the offering finally. Because before I do these checks, I'm gonna want to do that kind of easy damage. Do I have enough to sell? I'm selling like the Mithril glove. Okay, look, I've got an extra Genji glove, don't I? I'm not going to use that Genji glove. We found a Genji glove in Owzer's house. It was a dead check. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, well, we don't need that. So now we're going to give you the offering and the Hyper Wrist. So you're going to do plenty of damage. We're going to move you to the front row. What does Mog have again? Oh yeah, nothing. Well, we'll give him the ribbon. Fine. Can't be muted, Mog. Hope that really helps you. And we're looking at what else we can sell. Are we going to have enough? We're not going to have enough to buy the damn Genji armor. So, we're probably going to do the dragon on our way up to Tri-Talk. Because we've got this dragon here. Oh, what dragons do we actually have available? Well, not this one. We have this one. These are the dragons that we could actually wind up doing right now. I don't know why I highlighted all 8 of them. But yeah, we're going to go to the weapon shop. Strago's apparently good with locks instead of Setzer. That's weird. I always thought that Setzer was more of a roguish type. And we're lucky, we got an Esper. Okay, so if Tri-Talk is an Esper, then we are solid. I don't check this Esper here because, I mean, we're late game. Turns out I should have, but it's fine. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Here we are now going up to Tritalk. We've got warp stones still to warp out. Like, we're in pretty good shape. Even if this isn't what we're looking for, if the next check is, then we'll probably be entering Kefka's Tower at like 112, which is a decent time here. That's like, if you enter at Kefka's Tower at 112, you can hit sub 90, which is good. So here's our Storm Dragon. Storm Dragon actually gives force armor, so that's a really good find. It means that if someone can equip the force armor, then maybe we can maybe Setzer won't be going in with Mithril Vest, and we don't have to worry about buying the Genji armor. Ooh, and a Genji helmet too. Should probably be fine there. We can sell both of those to buy the Genji armor if we really need to. Like, we could sell some X potions or something to make up the final bit there. What do we have? We have piranhas for this fight. We were hoping for something with a little bit more beef to it, some more XP gained. Like, we would love Guardian here, or something like a Goddess, which would give us a lot of XP, but also the Excalibur we could sell. But we get Piranha. It's whatever. In this, you'll see I'm not casting any magic because I don't want to do anything that's going to cause the timer to pause. So we're reverse weight tricking here. We refuse to go into any menu. We're only hitting fight. And we want Realm to be able to do Realm can do the final blow because, I mean, she'll kill it in one swing. And the question now is, do we have to go somewhere else, or is this our Esper? Fingers crossed for an Esper, and there it is. So now we don't even care about this tracker anymore. We are solid, right? And we managed to avoid the checks that were slow. Alright. So we're checking this Esper. Oh look, Starlet has magic power +2. So now we're going to give probably magic power +2 or +1 to Setzer or Strago, and magic power to Mog. So there remains the question, who goes solo? Alright, who do we send in doing what? Well, right now, in terms of like our most powerful solo characters, we're looking at Setzer, to be sure, because he's doing a lots of barrier piercing damage. Alright, Strago does significant like non-elemental damage. Realm does lots of damage, but would suffer from Magi Master. But I do have Berserk if I need to, and then Mog obviously is the weakest, but he's got Stunner and it's like which is decent damage. All right, so we're thinking probably the best two solo would be Setzer and Strago, but I sort of want Strago to gain some more magic, right? And I don't know that Realm Mog would have an easier time with Magi Master than Realm alone. So I just go ahead and say I'm going to send Strago and Mog solo because they've got these magic espers, and what they're doing like I'm basically at the point where I think all of our party is strong enough to go solo, right? Our weakest character is Mog with Stunner. That's still pretty strong, right? Realm, definitely strong enough to go solo, and you just hope that she doesn't run into like the disaster Magi Master, right? Everything else she can handle, right? She's even got a Fire Rod if she needs to like handle like a Tritalk in a weird way. So we're pretty confident that any of these can go solo. So the question is, who do I want to gain the most XP? Mog and Strago are going to be doing like the multi-target damage, and they could use the biggest improvement in their damage because they're going to be doing something like 3k, 4k per target, and that can be slow, right? And Shock and Stunner both like are not the fastest things. It would be great if we could increase their damage. So my expectation is I'm going to send them solo, and we're going to send Realm and Setzer to solo the bosses. Or I guess I'm not sending them solo, sending them together, right? Locke has the highest level, so he's going with Realm, who I'm least confident in solo. And I'm actually going to probably take the time to equip him. So we're entering at, like, what is that, 108? 108.44, something like that. That's a pretty good time to enter Kefka's Tower. A lot of the time, you're not immediately ready to enter Kefka's Tower as soon as you hit your requirements, but in this case we were. So, yeah, we're just going to equip them with the Moogle Charms, and now it's just time to go. We'll be reacting to whatever fights show up, but in terms of routing, I mean, our route was done. Got to be happy that we routed the seed, managing to find 4 builds fairly quickly, managing to dodge the Strago checks that we didn't really want to take. But still, like, we were prepared. Like, we saved right outside Ibbott's Rock. We knew, like, when we had to do it, we were ready to do it, you know. If you have to, just rip the Band-Aid off. But, you know, as it stands, we didn't need to, and that was good. Magi Master. So this is the, we were worried about. Nope. We got Berserk. It's handled. And then, once Berserk goes off, we're just gonna shock. That was easy enough. So you can see Stunner is doing 3,700, right? Shock is doing about double, which means that they're doing actually roughly the same to multiple targets, right? So I'd expect both of them to do about, you know, between 3 and 4k when they're hitting like tier 2, for example. And that's not terrible, but it's got room for improvement, right? If I can improve that by 500, 800, something like that per target, that's going to save me a little bit of time. So I'm like vindicated sending them on their path together to hit the 3 bosses, because they're going to gain some levels here. We're going to skip past Realm here. We're going to skip past the first character. Like, I equip the... oh man, some of this movement is a little drunk. I equip the Moogle Charms on all 3 parties, so I wind up starting with the 3rd party. The third party is going to go through all the way. Then we skip to the second party. And the reason we do that is because the first party is dependent on movement from both the first and second. I'm sorry, from the second and third. Right, that switch is important to hit or the first party can't go through. So once the third and second parties have gone through, then the first one can get through all the way. And of course it allows us to move off these switches right away. So when it comes time for the first one to go, the first party can just completely... like you're never going to have to switch off of it to move something out of the way. Or to hit a switch. You just go. Just going to go through here like without having to switch party members. She's going to go through the... she's going to go up the hill here without having to switch party members. And then she's going to go straight through the door here without anybody having to hit a switch, and she's going to push this over without having to switch anybody. So the majority of the movement of the first party done straight away. We're only going to switch to her one more time, right? So yeah, that's the way I think is most efficient to handle movement in Kefka's Tower. There are other people who do it differently, but you know, if you want to do it the way I am, that's how you do it. What's this boss going to be? We are so afraid. Oh, it's just another Ultros. This Ultros actually has a significantly high magic defense, which is funny because vanilla, when you fight him, you don't have a whole lot of magic. This is in Opera House. Right. But here we go. We're just, doing our basic... Yep, and he's gone pretty quickly. He doesn't have a whole lot of HP. And it looks like somebody learned Doom. I think it was Mog that learned Doom, but I realized later, oh, of course, it wasn't from an Esper. It was Strago learning Doom with natural magic. So I am going to make a mistake later here. This is not a fight that people would normally like to see. Alright, it's going to be slow because I don't have any way of doing ice damage. So I'm just doing non-elemental damage to everything, and we're going to see how it goes. So it kills the wrong guy first, but then it just turns out, they don't have a whole crap ton of HP, so we're fine. That fight over and done with. It's time to go fight, or it's time to prepare to fight Kefka. I mean, I guess you still got the solo fights left to do. So we're gonna save here. Do I even think to remove the Moogle charm? Possibly not. But I am going to check for calmness protection. Nope, got none. That's fine. Siren is fine to use in the final battle against Tier 2. So we're... Okay, fine. No calmness protection, no problem. Just go, go, go. Right? Realm has a very high resistance or high evade because of her Ragnarok swords. We've got the one... Yeah, I'm looking at what rages we have. I'm like, oh hey, some of this could have been useful. We've got the one Life 3 cast that I might bother to do. So we're in fine shape here. We do have memento rings, which I don't think to equip. If I had thought about it, I would have equipped Mog with the memento ring. Or even Realm. Actually, probably not Realm. She needs both of her relics right now. So yeah, you'll notice I'm not fiddling with much equipment. The what you call it, the earrings that we put on at the very beginning, the enhancers that we put on at the very beginning, still there. Setzer, unfortunately, he's in the back row because this is a back attack, so we're going to switch him to the front row because he was just doing pathetic damage there. Being at full HP as well, he wasn't doing much. So now he's going to do real damage, and that'll be enough to kill Ghost Train. Of course, we could also have killed Ghost Train with Doom. So now we're approaching the final battle. Right? So, right now, my armor is the worst. So tier 1 is my biggest point of friction. Because tier 1 is Visage, long arm, short arm, right? Tier 2. Actually, we'll just focus on tier 1 for now, right? Long arm is dies to instant death, right? Visage is weak to fire, and I have a fire rod. And short arm, we just want him to die last, but has heavy physical attacks, right? So this is the kind of thing. This can do multiple thousands of damage. If we're stuck in the front row, we're worried about reverse polarity, and then just sniping one of our lower armored characters, because Genji armor and Force armor, they're not low defense, but they're not snow mufflers, right? They're not imp armor. They're not going to completely nullify the damage. We're still going to take a significant amount of damage here, and that could be concerning, right? So our plan, we're going to use Doom on long arm. We're going to have Realm attack Visage, because we don't have a whole lot of fire. We're going to have Realm attack Visage to try and make it so he's lower than the other ones, because that will allow us to attack with Setzer and just sort of hope that he kills Visage before short arm. Yeah, but this, tier 1 can take less than a minute when you have the best setups and you don't really care, but this is probably going to take 2, maybe 2.5 minutes. Because we have to play tier 1 safe. We don't worry about tier 2. We don't worry about tier 3, really. It's just tier 1 that we really care about. So, we're choosing our party members in order. Here's the thing to remember about the order of your party members. Last acts first. Right? Your order of acting for tiers 1, 2, and 3 will be 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. Alright? So, if you have someone like here, I'm going to say Realm needs to act last. Why? Or it needs to be last, because I want her to act first. Why? Because she can kill Lady. Right? And we'll get there. We want Strago to act to be third and act second, because he has Siren, and Strago has Shock, which is also decent non-elemental damage when dealing with, let's say Realm attacks twice, does 4k, and doesn't finish off Lady. Strago will finish it off. So we're looking at that, and we're going to say probably Setzer, Mog, Strago, Realm. And there it is. And then I just hit start, because I don't care about the other characters. It'll choose them in whatever order. And here we go. Mog does not have Doom, and I'm surprised. Why don't you have Doom? I guess it was Strago who has Doom? Is it Setzer who has Doom? Somebody has Doom. I know I saw somebody had Doom. Oh, I'll just use quarter? Yeah, I'm a little confused in the moment. There it is, there it is. You've got Doom. And everybody's got to switch rows because, of course, he reversed the polarity. I'm not going to switch rows with Strago. I'm just going to cast Doom. I'm a little concerned that he's in the front row, but we'll be fine, I'm sure. It's 2 casts of Doom. Didn't work. I actually have really bad luck with my instant death attacks here. I'm like, Doom... Doom's gonna miss again. This is actually losing me a significant amount of time here. Is that Doom's not going off. Finally I say, you know what? Actually, I've got Break. And I know that Break has a slightly higher hit chance. Break works on short arm, or on long arm rather. It doesn't work on tools, which we'll get to. So Break's going to go off. It's going to kill him, which is great. It means that we can use Setzer's damage. We're using some X potions because, yeah, we're already taking some significant damage. Mog almost dead there. We don't want him to die. Now Mog's going to use his Fire Rod, but as he's using the Fire Rod, the dude's going to die. So it's not going to do any damage. So that was a little bit unlucky. I saved the Fire Rod all that time for nothing. I could have saved a minute if I used that Fire Rod on the PM Stalkers at the very beginning. Such is life. I'm going to use Starlet because our average HP is just really low right now. And then we're going to see if we can kill this thing off. And we did. So now we go to Tier 2. Tier 2 is 4 enemies. You've got Tools, which uses like sort of crappy MTech attacks and is instant death vulnerable. It's also vulnerable to Bolt, but I didn't even bother to learn Bolt 2. We've got Hit. It does high damage physicals. Not as bad as Short Arm, right? Its final counter is 10 hits, and it is immune or vulnerable to Stop. We've got Magic, which does magic attacks. Right? It'll annoy the hell out of you. It'll cast things like Imp or Mute. It'll cast Life 3 on its own like buddies, which is annoying. It'll cast Fire 3 or Ice 3 or Bolt 3 on you. It's just generally a pain. Even when it doesn't do damage or really threaten you, it still takes up a lot of time. It also uses its death counters earlier, like before it dies, which is just a round of Dispels and Quarter. So if you take a bunch of that, like if you get it low and it starts doing that, it can just bleed time. You wind up having to heal from the quarters that are constantly going off. It's just a pain, but you just mute it. That's what we are going to use Siren for. And then you've got Tiger. It uses N-Cross, Southern Cross, Flare Star, and Zombie, right? But it's weak to ice. I don't have a lot of ice right now. I used the Ice Rod already, so we're just going to try to kill it with Realm. So our plan going into this, we're going to use Doom on tools. We're going to use Siren to mute magic. We're going to use Realm just to kill Tiger. And the other guys are just going to do their AoE damage while we still have a bunch of AoE targets. Oh, the AoE stunner will use stop to stop hit, which is sort of like a nice thing. But I rarely bother, like, just to cast the spells. Stop hit doesn't take a whole lot of time, like with his physical attacks, obviously, because they're just physical attacks. And they aren't so powerful that I usually worry at this juncture. So yeah, just wait trick it here. In Setzer's menu. Now it's muted and gonna attack with Setzer. I'm gonna use Doom. Once again, really unlucky with my Doom casts. Like, Doom should have been hitting these dudes, and it's not. Realm with the double flare cast. That's going to do significant damage to Tiger, although it is going to take some time. Setzer still has the Mithril Shield. Like, we did not find a whole lot of defensive equipment here. So we're hoping that Setzer will just go ahead and kill hits, so we can deal with the 10 hits. We're killing hits in an attempt to, like, once we've seen what kind of damage the 10 hit will do, we can heal up if we need to, and then worry about killing the other thing. We've abandoned casting Doom because we've done enough damage just through AoE to tools that we figure it's going to be faster just to let it just to kill tools. So here we have 10 hits. How many of them are going to hit? Not a whole lot. Valiant Knife is also good at evading. Even Enhancer has a little bit of evade to it. So, yeah, we're fine. Our HP is, I mean, it's not ideal, right? We could still take some damage to Merton, but we've got a couple elemental shields. We're not super concerned. Sets are going to just completely attack magic over tools. So tools is going to be the last one alive. In this point, I'm thinking about using Doom, but I'm thinking, I don't know if it's going to be better just to use Bolt 2. Like, if that kills it, right? It didn't kill it, but Stunner will. And we're off to Tier 3. Now, Tier 3 is Lady and Rest. Lady absorbs all elements, revives Rest. Also uses Pearl Wind, which heals, right? Rest uses Meteo and Low. And final counter of Calmness. 1 to 2 times. Right? So, what we're going to do... Actually, our plan was to have Realm attack, but you saw the Merton actually killed Realm, so we're reviving her, and we're going to just rely on Setzer to kill Lady, and he does. So we're already sort of on our back foot here. We're going to decide, you know what, it's worth using an X potion on Realm. Setzer's going to cast Life 3 on himself just in case of a, what you call it? Calmness hit. We're going to use the, we're weight tricking here. We're going to use the X Potion on Realm. And then we're going to have Realm attack. And then get him sort of low. And then have Setzer attack right after. And that should trigger Calmness. Because we've done a fair amount of damage to him. Yep, it does. It kills him. And Calmness only goes off once on Realm. She dodges it. It's easy. That's when I know I'm for sure going to beat this in under 90 minutes. Kefka, I don't really spend a whole lot of time talking about him. You know, like, he doesn't... Like, he's got dangerous counters when not charging Goner. If you do damage to him, well, you'll skip Fallen 1. So our plan here, right? I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to attack with Realm, I'm going to attack with Setzer. That's probably going to be enough to skip Fallen 1 right there. Smog and Strago, because they have lots of magic power, and they're using elemental shields, they're going to just break their elemental shields. That'll probably do 10k each, and we should be good from there. So it's a fairly, like, when you have a full complement of a strong party facing Kefka, you really shouldn't be too concerned. It's just kill, 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 kill. So here we go, Realm. We're weight tricking here. Yeah, Realm did 10k with her 2 swings plus the 2,000. Or 2 swings plus the thing there. So we've done 30k to him already. That's about 39. So we're at, what? 48k plus Realm's attack. And the shock should do it. And there we are. 128.52. So this is a seed that so far not a lot of people have tried really hard on. I think 2 other people have completed it. Red Baron and Heroval. Both of them hit above 150. But I think this is not a seed, like I don't think that this time is particularly impressive. I don't think that, like, if we get Doesn't or Jackamus or Zelford to run this seed, or Edgeworth or any of that, I'm pretty sure that they'll be able to hit sub 90 as well, right? Or, like, they might run into a little bit of trouble with a different route and do like 135 or something if they did Ebbett's Rock, you know? But mostly this is not a really impressive time. And that's sort of the point I'm trying to get at, is you can be consistent, and like, all it takes is just knowing sort of what you're doing, and sort of knowing, like, having a good feel for what's a good next step to take, and you can easily hit sub 90 in a lot of your seeds. This one in particular, I mean, in terms of mistakes I made that lost time, I mean, I failed to equip Espers and had to reset. So there's that. There were a lot of movement errors. There was another mistake that I made that there was just a lot of, like, slow menuing and second guessing. And like, ultimately, I also had a slow / unlucky auction house, right? But you can see, so if I bring this tracker back up, I want to illustrate something else. Like, we wound up 6 and 10, right? Because we did the auction house We did both auction houses and Tritalk and the Zen Merchant, right? So that's 4 checks, 4 espers that we got out of that, right? Imagine if instead, like, if we hadn't taken these 3 at least, the auction house and the Zen Merchant, or just imagine we didn't do auction house, and we're sitting here looking at this. We're taking auction house off the table. What do we have available? We can go up to do Kefka Narsh and hope that's an Esper, right? And then we've got some of these checks that, I mean, they're a little bit slower, or they're potential to be dead checks, right? Like, what if we do Tunnel Armor, and it turns out to be Sabin? Now we've got 5 checks here that could all be characters or dead checks or whatever, right? That we hope are espers, right? Or like Terra, all of her checks could be characters, right? And they're all in different places, you know. I mean, that could be a nightmare. We could wind up diving into a whole bunch of other stuff, but we didn't because we just focused on the auction house. An auction house is sort of useful in these flags for that reason, right? In standard flags, it's a lot less important, but I firmly believe that in this flag set, doing auction house first is going to be the key to a lot of these seeds. The most recent ladder race that I had a pretty good time on, there are a lot of players who didn't have a great time on it, and I think like one of the things they did was they found Sabin and wound up finding a lot of dead checks as a result, because they didn't go Fanatics Tower, even though like it's a peak check. You can see that it's a character, right? And they didn't do Auction House, so they just wound up doing like Ebbets Rock, grabbing Sabin and finding a whole lot of dead checks that way, right? And I dodged all that, not because I knew it was coming, but because I wound up doing Auction House, and like just it turns out that the right play in this instance was enough to sort of get through quickly. Anyway, that's all. Thanks anybody who tuned in.